हरि ओम। ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाय नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। Bhagwan is revealing his vibhutis, main vibhutis, in this 10th chapter of Gita. he begins with that Atma, Pratyek Atma. Aham Atma Gudhakesha Sarvabhutashaya Stitaha. Bhagavan says, I am the Atma residing in the heart of all beings. Bhagavan gives various vibhutis from different facets of this entire cosmos. This whole world with variety of beings is really very fascinating. There are billions and billions of varieties in this world, and all of them are wonderful. So Bhagavan is presenting the main vibhutis in all these different aspects of this world. So yesterday we saw Bhagavan said, Pavana Pavatamasmi, among all that purifies. All those who purify, I am Pavanaha, I am that Vayu. And Rama Shastra Bhritamaham, and I am Sri Ram among the wielders of weapon. And Jashanam Makaraschasmi, and among all the fish and the other creatures living in water, I am Makara, the crocodile. And Shrotasam Asmi Jannavi, and among all the rivers, I am Jannavi, Ganga, Bhagirathi. So beautiful vibhutis are there on which we can take support of these vibhutis to meditate on Ishvara. Now further, in verse number 32, some more vibhutis are revealed. We'll chant the verse. Sarganamadirantashcha madhyanchaivaaham arjuna adhyatma vidya vidyanam vada pravadatamaham. Bhagavan says, Sarganam, among creations. Among creations, Bhagavan says, I am Adihi, the beginning, Madhyam, the middle, and Antaha, and the end also of creations. So similar thing Bhagavan has said in this 20th verse also, कि अहम आदिश्च मध्यंच भूतानाम अंत एवच. In that verse, Bhagavan had mentioned that he is the Adi, the Madhya, and Anta of all beings. And here in this verse, Bhagavan talks about the entire creation. He says, I am the Adi, Madhya, and Anta of this entire creation. Here Bhagavan is using the plural term, Sarganam, among creations. Therefore, this creation, this world which we experience, has not come into a manifestation for the first time. It keeps on coming into manifestation, it exists, and again get dissolves. So it is Anadi, Ananta only. Beginningless, endless, these creations keep happening. So it is not the first time that the world has come into existence. Therefore, it is not the first time that all of us are living. We have taken birth before, and if we don't get liberated, we will take birth in future also. So from Anadi Kal there is creation, and from Anadi Kal there are jivas who are born and again they get dissolved. So Sarganam Adir Antaha Madhyancha Eva Aham Arjuna. So that Ishvara, whose Swarupa is Brahma, That Brahma is indicated in our scripture as the very source of all creation. Janmadyasya yataha. The Janma, the Sthiti and Laya of all creation happens from that Brahma. See, just as the ornaments, they are born from gold, they exist in gold, and again merges back into gold. In fact, before their birth, gold was there. When they are present, all the ornaments are present, gold is also present. And when all the ornaments get dissolved, gold again is present. What we mean by creation is just the manifestation of names and forms. But the Swarupa constantly exists. Therefore, there is no birth of the Swarupa. The Supreme Reality is neither born nor does it die. There is no modification, there is no change happening in that Supreme Brahma. The changes which we experience is just a manifestation of some form and names. Again, to take example of that gold and ornaments. Gold ornaments are nothing but gold only, but in different shape and different names. And the shapes and names are meant for our vyavahar, for our transaction. See, when a child is born, we give a name to that child so that we can transact with that child, we can call that child. Or even in a city, you find that there are there are so many roads. So many roads are there. And all the roads are made in the same way. So why not call all roads only roads? If we call all roads only roads, we will not be able to communicate. We will not be able to do any vyavahar. So we give names to different patches of this road so that we can communicate, we can understand, we can have our address, we can fix our location. So for vyavahar. Similarly, from the highest standpoint, all that we see in this world is Brahma alone. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. The mountain is Brahma, the rivers are Brahma, the Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi, all of them are Brahma. You are Brahma, I am Brahma. This is the ultimate, this is the supreme truth. But now we are identified with a limited body and we see this world as different from me and I see other beings also. So in order to do the vyavahar, we have different names and for different forms. But our aim and goal is to recognize that supreme truth which is common everywhere, which is present. So that is what Bhagavan is saying here, that before the whole world came into existence, Bhagavan alone was there. Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asit. Before all the names and forms, what was there? Only Ishvara, only that Supreme Brahma alone was there. Then from that Brahma alone came all names and forms. in different sequence. We have seen those sequence so many times. So Hiranyagarbha, Vaishvanara, then all the devatas, the plants, and all other creatures, they came into being. And all this whole creation is sustained in that Brahma. And after a period of 100 years of Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, the entire creation again goes into Laya. The total Mahapralaya happens. So where does it go? In that Brahma alone. And who is that Brahma? That Brahma is our own self. Tat Tvam Asi. I am that Brahma. So from the world, that Brahma is indicated. And then that Brahma is pointed out as our own self. See, we experience our own self. The Pratyagatma, we know that Pratyagatma. It's not totally unknown, but its nature is not known. But I know that I exist. But I don't know its nature, that it is Brahma. So through the world, that Brahma is pointed out. And thereafter the scripture says that you are that Brahma. So sarganam adhirantascha madhyancha eva aham Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, I am the beginning, the end and the middle of this entire creations. So we have to gain that knowledge of the creation. We have to gain knowledge of that as Brahma, and finally we have to understand that Brahma as our own self. So that self-knowledge is called Adhyatma Vidya. Now, next Vibhuti, Bhagavan says, I am that Adhyatma Vidya. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. Among all knowledge, I am Adhyatma Vidya. I am knowledge of the self. See, through our senses, through our mind, intellect, we keep gaining knowledge. I get the knowledge of the Vishaya, the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Though I say Shabda in general, but there are so many varieties of sound which I hear. Not only the natural sound, artificial sounds, but I also hear different words and languages spoken. So through my eyes I gain knowledge of the different forms. So constantly I am gaining knowledge of the world. Certain things I gain directly through my senses, and certain things I have to infer with the help of my mind intellect. I have to infer. So there is Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, Upamanam, Arthapatti, different means of knowing I have. So through that I gain the knowledge. And human beings have this thirst to gain knowledge. So we keep on learning. But since our attention is always outside, not within, so we keep learning about this world. So even in the field of science, the science is progressing in the sense it is gaining more and more knowledge of this world. But there was a time in the field of physics, one great scientist, he said that all that we have to know about the world, we now know. Only thing we have to know the details. hmm, during that Newton's time and all. But later on, when Einstein he presented the theory of relativity, general theory of relativity, special theory of relativity. Later on, they talked about quantum mechanics and all. Suddenly, they realize that the more we know about the world, the more we come to know that we don't know. We know very little. We know very little. Therefore, those who believe in science and all should never have that pride that, oh, we know everything. All that science knows is only on the way. So, everything which is known now, we come to know after a few years that, oh, that was little, that was not complete, that was not proper also. So, there are different varieties of knowledge, but all this knowledge which we gain, in that there are these triputis are there. I, the knower, then the object which I know, and that knowledge of that object. They are called triputi, the triad. Knower, known, and knowing, that knowledge. And this triputi constantly exists. So as long as there are these triputis, we will never claim that we know everything. And in this triputi, we keep on trying to know the world, gaining more and more knowledge of the world, but that one who is gaining this knowledge remains unknown only. So if I, the knower of this world, is unknown, then all that I know about the world is incomplete. Suppose like in a dream, let us say I'm dreaming something, and then I say, oh, I know everything about whatever I am seeing here. But if I don't know that I am the dreamer, if I don't know that in waking I am different, then all the knowledge I gain in dream is incomplete only. Similarly, all the knowledge of this world, having this triad, is incomplete. Our scripture says, you know yourself. And the beauty of this self-knowledge is that once I know myself, this triad disappears, get dissolved. Dissolves means what? That I come to know, when I know myself, I come to know that this world which I was trying to understand is also myself. And the knowledge which I was trying to gain is also myself. I am of the nature of pure knowledge. This world is also myself. So this triad dissolves in the self. Therefore, self-knowledge is complete knowledge. There remains nothing more to be known. Having known the self, there remains nothing more to be known. Our scripture says, having known this self, you know everything. There are scriptures, there are Upanishads where the student asks the teacher that what is that one thing knowing which everything becomes known. And the teacher gives self-knowledge. Knowing the self, everything becomes known. So it's the most fascinating. We have to strive to know our own self. I myself is the great mystery and the great secret of this entire world, everything. Once I know myself, I know the secret of this world, I know Ishvara also, everything becomes known. And to know this self, Bhagwan has given this guidance in Bhagavad Gita, as well as we have guidance in other Shastras. So following the guidance step by step, doing our sadhana, karma yoga, upasana, gaining that self-knowledge, renouncing all actions, meditating, and gaining that abidance in our own self and becoming sthita prajna. That is our aim and goal. And everyone can pursue this path. Whether you are a male or a female, whether you are young or old, whatever be your nationality, whatever be your background, doesn't matter. When you have that jidnyasa, thirst to know yourself, and you pursue that thirst with proper guidance from the teacher, you will reach your destination. So Adhyatma Vidya Vidyana. Bhagavan says, I am Adhyatma Vidya, among all Vidya, among all knowledge. And how do we gain this knowledge? By the blessings of the teacher. What happens? What is the technique the teacher uses to give us knowledge? That technique is called Vada or Samvad, a discussion. Here in this Bhagavad Gita also, after every chapter, we chant that Sankalpa Vakya, wherein it is said, Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade. Om Tatsada iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade. So how this knowledge is given by the teacher to the student? Through samvad, through vad, through discussion, through proper discussion. So Bhagavan says that my vibhuti, this discussion is my vibhuti. Vada pravadatam aham. It's very beautiful. Among all different types of debates, among different types of communication, Bhagavan says, I am Vada. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he writes कि प्रवक्तृद्वारेण वदन भेदानाम एव वाद जल्प वितंडानाम इह ग्रहणम प्रवदताम इति. What is this pravadatam? The different types of debates are there, mentioned in our scriptures, called vada, jalpa, and vitanda. See, when the two people, when they discuss together some point to arrive at the truth, is called proper discussion, is called vada. See, for example, you want to understand certain points. Let us say you want to know the nature of a object. So you use proper praman and you discuss to remove all misunderstanding and finally arrive at that proper understanding about it. So in the field of spirituality also, discussion is encouraged. Even in the 4th chapter we have seen that when a student goes to the teacher, the student should ask question. If you don't ask question, it doesn't initiate the discussion. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We should go do namaskar to the teacher, do seva of the teacher, and ask questions to understand. So main thing, we have to understand our own self. We want to understand what is bondage, what is liberation, what is the nature of the self. So we have this system of discussion, debate. With the teacher, when we discuss, when the student and teacher discusses to understand the truth, and the teacher knows the truth, the student doesn't know, but together they discuss to arrive at the truth, that is called samvad. It's the highest type of discussion. But then there is this vada where we discuss to arrive at that understanding. So in a discussion, what is most important, especially the spiritual discussion, what is most important is to first establish the pramana, the means which we are accepting as true. See, even the commentaries which are written on Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad by Bhagwan, Shankaracharya, they are like discussion only, in which using the proper praman, we have to not only establish and understand what the scriptures are saying, but we should also negate all misunderstanding about it. Therefore, there are so elaborate commentaries are there, because there are lots of misunderstandings are there. See, in our country itself, there are so many different types of what you call darshanas are there, philosophies are there. We say Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. So this Nyaya is that logic. Vaisheshik talks about the world made up of atoms and subatomic particles. It's like physics. Then Sankhya talks about the whole world as made up of two realities, Purusha and Prakriti. Then Yoga also accepts Sankhya philosophy, but gives the technique by which we can separate this Purusha and Prakriti through the various sadhana, like Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, through Vivek, through Vairagya and Abhyasa. Then we have Purva Mimamsa. This Purva Mimamsa accept Vedas as Praman. See, other these philosophies, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya and Yoga, they don't accept Vedas as Praman completely. They take whatever is conducive to them, and they use their own logic and all to establish their philosophy. They don't take Vedas as the ultimate Praman, but they take certain aspect of the Vedas they accept as true, and they also take lot of words and terms from the Vedas, and they present their own philosophy. So Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya and Yoga, but their presentation, whatever they present ultimately as the ultimate truth, is really not the ultimate truth. They don't talk about that Supreme Brahma as our own self. So they talk about Dvaita only. So when Shankaracharya ji discusses with them, he uses their logic, he uses their praman which they accept, and he presents to them where are the mistakes they have done in their thinking. So he does khandana, it's called negate their misunderstanding, and presents his own understanding, means the understanding or the principle which is presented by the Upanishads are presented to them. Therefore, if you read the Bhashya, the commentaries of Shankaracharya ji, he will do that khandana, he negates all the wrong philosophies, and he will do mandana, he will establish what the Upanishads are saying through proper logic by quoting and taking help of the scriptural statements. So these are all techniques of Vada only that you discuss to arrive at the truth. So this Purva Mimamsa, they also accept the Vedas as Praman, but they only accept the initial portion of the Vedas as Praman. The Upanishads are not accepted as Praman. So they come to the conclusion that only karma is the supreme. But when you come to Uttara Mimamsa, that is Vedanta, Vedanta not only accepts all the other pramanas which others have accepted, but Vedanta also accepts the Vedas and the Upanishads as the praman, as the means of knowing, as the ultimate authority conveying the supreme truth. Okay? So Vedanta negates the views of the Purva Mimamsa. Also it negates the views of the Yoga, Sankhya, Vaisheshik, Nyaya. It says what you are saying is not true, not complete, not proper. Because there are a lot of logical flaws, there are rational flaws, and that is not accepted as the truth by the Upanishads. Then again, those who accept the Upanishad as Praman, they also have different understanding and misunderstanding. Therefore, we have the different philosophies in Vedanta also. There are those who believe in Dvaita, like Madhvacharya ji and all. Then there are others who believe in Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita Advaita, Shuddha Advaita. Different combination, permutations of philosophies are there, even among those who accept Upanishads as Praman. So when Shankaracharya ji writes the commentary, he discusses with them, and through proper Praman, he negates what they are saying wrongly and establish the right point. So these are friendly discussions actually, wherein both the parties are open. They have accepted what is the praman, they are open to discuss, and whatever is understood as true is accepted. You must have heard about that famous discussion which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji had with Mandan Mishra. This Mandan Mishra was a great scholar, knower of the Vedas, but was only believing in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. He did not accept the Upanishads and what is said there as true. But when he had a long debate with Shankaracharya ji, using the Praman of the Vedas and using rational and systematic thinking, he convinced Mandan Mishra that what he is thinking is not proper. And he convinced him that what is said in the Upanishad is true. Logically and with the Praman he convinced him, and when he got convinced, he just dropped all his misunderstanding and accepted Shankaracharya ji as what he was saying is true, and he renounced everything and became the follower of Adi Shankaracharya ji. Is Sureshwaracharya, became Sureshwaracharya. So this Vada is a very interesting and important thing which is there. Unfortunately, again I am saying unfortunately, people who don't understand this Vada properly, it's very difficult to have discussion with them. Because when we don't understand Vada, then we use our argumentative skills. Instead of Vada, there is what is called Jalpa and Vitanda. Jalpa is a way of arguing wherein we just choose the points from the Vedas and Upanishads and all, whichever we understand as Praman, which is in tune with my own views. And I choose those things which negates the other person's views. So Jalpa is a type of argument wherein I somehow establish that what I am saying is true and whatever you are saying is wrong. So I am not ready to listen to the other person. I am not ready to accept the Praman totally. I just accept whatever is suitable for me. So I try to establish what I am saying is true and what you are saying is wrong. And that other person also tries to establish what he is saying is true and what you are saying is wrong. So there is total argument, and finally nobody reaches any conclusion. That's called Jalpa. Such Jalpa you can see in the debates on the national television also. You bring two parties having different views, and they keep on shouting and talking over each other and abusing each other and all. And after half an hour or 1 hour debate, both the parties go holding their own views. There is no conclusion. There is no arrival at any truth. There is only big noise. That is not the way. And that is seen in the field of spirituality also. We have so many different types of philosophies now. Different views are there in the society. Different dharmas are there, different religions and different faiths, different views are there. And all of them are holding on to their views as the supreme truth. They are not open for discussion. They are not open for debate. They are not really interested to know what is true. But they hold on to their views with attachment, fanatic attachment to those views. So with that attitude, we will not be able to arrive at truth. So this Vada was very common in the good old days, and among great thinkers and all, it is there, because they are not interested in whether you are right or I am right. They want to know what is the truth. Using proper system, they want to arrive at truth. See, even in the field of science and all, we see this. that they are interested to know the truth. So when Newton, he presented his theory of all inertia and all, they accepted it as true. But then later on, when Einstein came up with this relativity theory and all, and they found that it explains the world in a better way, then they accepted it. And whatever was not proper and all in the previous theory, they just rejected it. Because it is not, the person is not important. The truth is important. So if the truth is established, then you accept it. It may have come from any directions. And something is false, then you just drop it. Whoever must have said it, it doesn't matter. But if it is false, it is wrong. It's like mathematics. Once you follow all the steps properly and arrive at that answer, and that is the truth. Suppose even a great person, he arrives at a wrong answer, you can't accept that. You have to say, no, this is wrong. So just like mathematics, there is only one final answer, proper answer. Similarly, in philosophy, in this Shastra also, there is one supreme truth which we have to understand in the same way. So that can be understood through proper vad, samvad, discussion with an open mind. It begins by then there is I talked about Vada, Jalpa, and there is another third variety of argument that is called Vitanda. In Vitanda, the thing is that person refutes whatever the other person is saying. He himself doesn't have anything to establish. But only thing he says that whatever you are saying is wrong. And he keeps on using all sorts of wrong logic and funny arguments to prove that you are wrong. So this Jalpa and Vitanda, Jalpa means I am right, you are wrong. And Vitanda means I don't have anything to say, but whatever you say, you are wrong. And in Vada, together, I may be wrong, you also may be wrong. So together we discuss to arrive at the truth, taking the proper praman. That what the Upanishads are saying is right. So let us together try to understand how it is right. That's called Vada. I hope you understood. So here Bhagavan says, I am that Adhyatma Vidya, and that Adhyatma Vidya can be acquired through proper Vada, through proper Samvada with our teacher. Therefore here we see that Arjuna is not just listening to a pravachan from Bhagavan Krishna. Now and then he keeps asking questions. If something is not clear, he asks, and he asks very boldly also. Like in the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks question that I think what you are saying is very contradictory. Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasi vame. As though using contradictory statements, you are as though confusing me. So please tell me that one thing properly, without any mistake. One thing properly. Tadekam vada nishchitya. Yena shreya aham apnuyam. So vada pravadatam aham. Bhagavan says I am vada. I am giving stress to this because lot of our problems in modern times also is there because of lack of vada, lack of communication, lack of proper debate with different types of people in this world. Hmm? There is a religious intolerance. There is what you call community intolerance. Different types of intolerance is there in this world because we don't know how to really discuss and arrive at proper understanding. So if we have some wrong notions and if we hold on to that with dear life and don't want to give it up, then it will be very difficult to have any vada. So through this vada, proper samvad, we can gain knowledge. All our Upanishads are also in the form of samvad. Nachiketa goes and talks to Yamraj and gains this knowledge. Because when we talk to a teacher, immediately we will not be able to understand. And if we just don't keep our mind open, if we keep arguing with our teacher, if we don't accept things properly, if we don't understand the value of Praman and all, we will not be able to arrive at any truth. We will not be able to gain proper knowledge. So this Vada is very important. Bhagavan says it's my Vibhuti. So Sarganam Adhirantascha Madhyanchaiva Ham Arjuna Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vada Pravadatam Aham. Further, Bhagavan says, Aksharanam akarosmi dvandvas samasikasya cha ahamevakshayak kalah dhataham vishvato mukha. Some more vibhutis. Bhagavan says, Aksharanam aham akaraha asmi. Bhagavan says, among all akshara, akshara means all the alphabets, the varna, varnanam. The Sanskrit varnas are there, the alphabets. Among them, Bhagavan says, I am akar, the first alphabet. Like we have in English A, B, C, D, first is A. Similarly, in Sanskrit, the first is A. How many alphabets are there in Sanskrit? How many vowels are there and how many consonants are there? Anyone knows? So there are these 16 vowels are there. And you have other consonants. So together we have about 50. A, I, U, Ri, L, E, I, O, Ah. Ka, Kha, Ga, Ga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Ya, Ta, Ta, Da, Dha, Na, Ta, Tha, Da, Da, Na, Pa, Pa, Ba, Ba, Ma, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sh, Sa, Ha. Sometimes Nya and Ksha is also taken. So we have these vowels and consonant. Consonants cannot be pronounced without the help of the vowels. Ka cannot be pronounced without adding that vowel. When we add a, it becomes ka. When we add a, it becomes ka. Ka, ka, ki, ku, ku. So that the simplest vowel, the first vowel is a. So a itself extended becomes a, I, U, A, I, O, Ri, L. And when we add these vowels to the consonant, then these consonants can be pronounced. So that a vowel is present in all the letters. It pervades all the alphabets. A pervades all the alphabets. So A pervades all the words. A pervades all the sentences. A pervades everything. Even our that beautiful mantra Om, it has got A. Om together becomes Om. So A pervades everything. Just like Ishvara pervades everything, A pervades everything. Ishvara pervades all the Rupa as well as Nama. This A pervades all Nama. So A is beautiful Bhagwan's Vibhuti. So Aksharanam Akarosmi. One can chant and meditate on that as Ishvara's Vibhuti. But whatever we chant, whatever we say, in that is there, hidden in it. So Bhagwan's Vibhuti is present everywhere, in all our words. So when these letters, this varna, when we join them together, they become words. And when the words are joined together, taken together, they become sentences. Like Tulsidas Ji also, in the beginning of his Ramayana, he does namaskar to Shri Ganesh and Saraswati, and to whom them he says, Varnanam arthasanghanam rasanam chandasam api mangalanam cha kartaro vande vani vinayako. That the creators of Varna and all that is follows that Varna. Varnanam arthasanghanam. When these Varnas are joined together, they become words, and the words convey some meaning. So Varnanam, Arthasanghanam, Rasanam, and those meanings brings out different rasa, different bhava. Varnanam, Arthasanghanam, Rasanam, Chandasam api, and those words are conveyed in different meters, poetic meters. They are called Chanda. So Varnanam, Arthasanghanam, Rasanam, Chandasam api, Mangalanam cha kartaro, and when we convey this beautiful rasa through various meters, they impart mangala on everyone. So who is the creator of these words and meanings and sentences and different bhava? Even we have this feeling of love, compassion. This can be generated through words. So who is the Devata of those words? Ganesh and Saraswati. It's a beautiful topic, and one can keep thinking and contemplating, and you will understand the beauty of Bhagwan present everywhere in different ways. So Bhagwan says, among all aksharas, I am Akaraha. And then he also talks about samas. Among all samas, I am Dvandva samas. What is this samas and what is Dvandva samas? We will see in our class tomorrow. Okay? So till then, you take care of yourself. Be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana. Contemplate on what you have heard. Think about it deeply. That's called churning. We have to think, contemplate deeply. Then we will be able to bring out the beauty which is there in those mantras and shlokas. Okay? And we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, बोले सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।